For about 9 years, I've been a die-hard Pokemon fan. Pokemon is something that has helped me make friends, discover things about myself, and it has definitely inspired me and helped me express myself creatively. I'd have to say my favorite part of Pokemon would have to be the Pokemon themselves. I have made countless memories alongside these adorable, unique, and awesome creatures. Of course, I don't love every Pokemon equally. As much as I love these silly beasts as a whole, there are select few that have found cozy homes in my heart. This video is my tribute to them. Without further ado, it is my absolute honor to share with you my top 10 favorite Pokemon. I hope you enjoy. Number 10, Blaziken. Blaziken is my favorite Hoenn Pokemon, partially because, in my opinion, Hoenn has the weakest designs out of every region. But that's not to say Blaziken lacks merits of its own. In fact, this well-done chicken thing has quite a lot going for it. First of all, Blaziken's typing is awesome. I don't care if this type combo did go on to be beaten to the ground by the two following fire starters. Fire and fighting are already two of my favorite types by themselves, and putting them together really just speaks to my inner edgy 12-year-old. Blaziken's design does its awesome type combo justice too. It's one of those designs that just exudes power, with its towering stature, powerful legs, dynamic poses, and also those feathers on the top of its head remind me of Knuckles the Echidna, who was my favorite Sonic character when I was younger. And on top of all that, Blaziken even has a Mega Evolution, which takes the traits that make it awesome and pushes those traits to the next level. What's not to love about those X-shaped feathers on top of its head? And come on, flames emanating from its claws? Open flames may be unsafe and impractical, but they do look awesome. So much so that you can look forward to seeing them later on throughout the video. Number 9, Weavile. This is another one that speaks to my inner edgy 12-year-old. See, I don't even know why Sneasel and Weavile have feathers, but dang, that combo of navy blue and red is really something. Something we'll be also seeing later on in this video. Also, look at this devious little imp. Pretty smug for a 3'7" rodent whose speed stat matters not in the face of a Mach Punch. See, even if that smugness was undeserved smugness still has the potential to be funny, lovable, and even awesome if it's in the right claws. Weavile's Dark and Ice type combo is really awesome, even though its design doesn't exactly scream icy, at least not at first glance. Alright, for the sake of this video, I looked up what Weavile is based on, and specifically it's based on the Kamaitachi, which is a cold weasel yokai thing. There's even a TV tropes page for them, and Weavile's there on the page image. So obviously that's awesome, and I think now that researching mythological creatures is a great way to come up with really cool Fakemon designs. But let's also talk about Weavile's battle capabilities and my personal experiences with this Freezer rat on my side. So Weavile's main strengths are that it has really high attack and speed, but I didn't really get to make use of that until later. My first time using Weavile was when I first played Pokemon Diamond. I didn't really fully understand the difference between physical and special attack, and I didn't know how to teach my Weavile any of its good physical stab moves, so I was just wondering, why does this guy suck? But then later, I learned my lesson when I first played Pokemon Platinum, and with some help from move tutors, I was able to teach Ice Punch and Night Slash to my little devious creature. But either way, Weavile is another perfect blend of a killer design and killer stats. When you want to replay a specific game solely for a chance to have that one specific Pokemon on your team, that's really something. Number 8, Incineroar. I think this may be the hottest take on my list. To me, it seems like the fanbase's perception of Incineroar is either mixed or mostly negative, and I suppose it's understandable. After all, not only is this beast weirdly humanoid, but it's yet another bipedal fire starter, it resembles a fighting type, all that. However, Incineroar was the first starter I've taken to the Hall of Fame, with Pokemon Moon being the first Pokemon game I ever completed, so of course there was bound to be fondness. But even with those sentimental reasons aside, Incineroar is just very awesome to me. In fact, Incineroar is a big reason that Dark is one of my favorite types. Not to mention, with its design, that flaming belt is just perfect. The contrast between red and black works super well, and those spiky tufts of fur do a lot to make this beast very striking and intimidating. And another thing I've always loved about Incineroar was its exclusive Z move, Malicious Moonsault. It always felt so exciting to pull this move off, with the cutscene just oozing of Incineroar's beautifully brutal personality. Also, I definitely would main Incineroar in Smash Bros. If I liked playing heavy characters more than I do. Number 7, Arbok. Throughout this list I have gushed over, or at least referenced, the battle capabilities of these Pokemon I so adore, but in Arbok's case there unfortunately isn't much to write home about in terms of strength. However, on the other side of that coin, it's really a testament to how much I love Arbok's design that it manages to land this comfy spot on the list in spite of its shortcomings in battle. Arbok's design, to me, is not only super cool since it's very menacing and I've always really liked snakes, but it also just scratches an itch in my brain. I think this is because, like many of the best Gen 1 designs, Arbok pulls off simplicity very well. Plus, Cobras already look awesome and unique with their distinct, menacing, and almost mystical body shapes. Arbok takes this trait and makes it even cooler by having its hood take up half its body and make it its primary design trait. And the classic coiling snake body for its tail complements this really well. And finally, Arbok's coolest and most unique trait is definitely the markings on the front of its hood. Not only do they add some much needed pop and contrast, but as many of you may know, the markings are actually different depending on the region, except apparently the pattern has stayed the same since Gen 4. But still, that beautiful bit of recognition for a Pokemon I already love, and also find quite underrated, makes me very happy. Number 6, Barraskewda. Now we go from a Pokemon I love in spite of not exactly being the best battler to a Pokemon I love almost entirely because it's such a hilariously amazing battler. Barraskewda may not look like much from a design standpoint, but I mean, it's still pretty cool and funny looking, what with those beady eyes, that weird little smirk, and the arrow patterns and motifs all around. You know, even if I mostly like this Pokemon because of its strength, it's still pretty impressive that they managed to not only design an arrow-shaped Pokemon, but also make it look pretty natural. Now, to the main reasons I love this thing. Barraskewda's attack and speed stats are insane. It has access to Swift Swim. Arrokuda, its pre-evolution, can be found before even stepping into the wild area in the Galar games. It has access to moves such as Drill Run, Poison Jab, Ice Fang, Brick Break, Waterfall, and Crunch. It evolves from Arrokuda just in time for the Fire-type gym, which can be quite tricky without the speedy sharp fish on your side. For good measure, you can even give it a White Herb that can easily be picked up from the wild area to ignore Kabu's Arcanine's Intimidate. And, as many other Pokemon have been able to demonstrate, low defenses don't matter too much when you just outspeed and obliterate everything anyway. You know, I've often asked myself why I find the Galar games as fun as I do, but now I think I have my answer. Number 5, Ladian. Like Arbok, Ladian's stats are very low and also not very high. However, not unlike Arbok, Ladian's design is awesome to me in my not unpersonal opinion. Ladian's design is another that tickles my brain. It's a very well done mix of cute and cool, what with the cartoonish legs, the big eyes, and also the fact that it looks like a superhero. Maybe the superhero look is what makes this design appeal to me the most, or maybe it's because Ladian is classified as the 5-star Pokemon. Game Freak really made sure we knew they cooked with this one. Truth be told, Ladian would probably be in the top 3 if my personal experiences using Pokemon and playthroughs didn't do so much to shape my opinions on them. Ladian's design is just that satisfying. Ladian's design is yet another example of simplicity done right. The very circular head and body, the pleasant color scheme that makes red and black look friendly, and the fact that 6 limbs actually look natural and not creepy here. Usually, I really like Pokemon because they're strong, striking, or intimidating, but I really just love how wholesome Ladian is. Number 4, Infernape. Infernape is my favorite starter ever. I honestly really like primates in general, and Infernape's design is just perfect to me. The open flame on top of its head, those golden things on its shoulders, wrists, and feet, and the contrast between orange and white, which honestly was not something I'd expect to work as well as it does. And there's also just how sleek this thing is. Infernape is also very fast and powerful, with the amazing type combo I talked about with Blaziken, a lot of coverage moves such as Grass Knot, Earthquake, and Thunder Punch, and also this ape has some amazing matchups against the gym leaders of its home region. In Pokemon Platinum at least, Monferno/Infernape's coverage allows it to hit entire teams of every gym leader with super effective damage, aside from Fantina and Maylene, and even in Maylene's case, Monferno matches up pretty well against her Lucario. Usually, when I replay Pokemon games, I alternate between which starter I pick. With Pokemon Platinum, which I may possibly have played 10 times at this point, I've only chosen Turtwig or Piplup 3 times at the very most. Infernape is beautifully intense and is a big reason I'll keep going back to Sinnoh. Number 3, Heracross. Heracross for the longest time was actually my second favorite Pokemon, and I believe that Heracross is a big reason I love fighting types so much. I started loving Heracross the first time I played Pokemon Soul Silver, since a fully evolved fighting type with an attack stat of 125 that can learn Brick Break at only level 19, just in time for that battle against Whitney, is quite the early game beast. Also, Heracross manages to look cute and intimidating, lovable and wholesome like Ladian, but still fully capable of tearing through the opposition like Barraskewda and Infernape. So it's no wonder this little creature's found such a special place in my heart. Not to mention that headbutt tree gimmick makes finding Heracross so much more rewarding. This brawling beetle tumbles down and you just know you found yourself a lovable and a vicious ally. Honestly, I can't even blame Whitney for crying should you defeat her with Heracross. Being in the presence of such a specimen would leave me misty-eyed myself. Number 2, Tinkaton. Despite what the lack of newer Pokemon throughout this list would otherwise indicate, I really love just how silly some of the more recent designs are. I don't think a ton, but I do believe Tinkaton represents that design philosophy perfectly. I'm a sucker for oversized weapons, and Hammer does happen to be my favorite Kirby copy ability. Plus, I was very excited to find out that the Steel Fairy combo was getting some more love in Gen 9. Tinkaton's stats are pretty mild, but she does manage to have a signature move that makes up for it. I will never get tired of just walloping my opponents in Paldea with Tinky's Gigaton Hammer. Tinkaton is also a very unique type of cute compared to other Pokemon, what with the weird mouth shape and the vertical eyes and all that. Honestly, I mostly really like Tinkaton because of Gigaton Hammer and how consistently fun that move is. In fact, even the drawback of not being able to use it twice in a row can make for some fun strategy. Tinkaton is indeed a very silly friend, and hopefully her silver medal helps her with some steel working or something. Now, before we reveal my favorite Pokemon of all time, I think I should pay tribute to some other friends I really love who do not quite make the cut for top 10. Garchomp, my favorite pseudo-legendary and a consistently vicious Earthquake user. Skeledirge, a very spooky and unique starter who earned my respect immediately. Dialga, my favorite legendary, the god of time, still impresses me to this day. Excadrill, another absolute menace who helped me out during my first playthrough of Black 2, long before I knew how to effectively team build. Magnezone, always reliable in any game it can be used in, a perfect mix of bulky and powerful. Its sturdy ability also is very handy. Number 1. Skarmory. Skarmory has been my favorite Pokemon for about 8 years. Steel and Flying are my 2 favorite types thanks to this guy. Its color scheme is just perfect, and I actually enjoy Skarmory's stall-focused battle style. I also love Skarmory because back before I realized that using Pokemon like Incineroar, Charizard, and Mandibuzz for every last battle wasn't the best idea, Rock and Fairy types would always be a pain in my side. And ever since I discovered that Skarmory could level the playing field, it has been my very favorite. Skarmory's design also happens to appeal to my inner edgy 12-year-old, go figure. And ever since I discovered that Skarmory could level the playing field, it has been my very favorite. Skarmory's design also happens to appeal to my inner edgy 12-year-old, go figure. Honestly, my attachment to Skarmory is something simple words cannot possibly convey to the fullest. I just love this thing so much. Skarmory is not only my favorite Pokemon, but my very favorite character of all time in any form of media. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm planning on getting much more into making YouTube videos moving forward, so this is sort of me dipping my toes into this high-effort content creation stuff. I'd really like to hear which Pokemon you guys like the most, and I wish you all an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.